Finally, here it is guys, Honda has just revealed the all-new 2017 Honda CBR 1000RR, or better known as the Fireblade. Before we jump into this awesome new reveal, I want to quickly go over the history of the Honda Fireblade. The Fireblade has been Honda's top-of-the-line supersport bike for the last 24 years, which is how old I am. When it was first released in 1992 as the CBR 900RR, which was an 893cc inline-4 supersport that weighed just 453 pounds wet. It was the lightest supersport bike out of the competition. To put into perspective how game-changing this bike was, the next lightest superbike was the Yamaha's FZR 1000, which weighed in at 520 pounds wet. That's nearly a 70-pound difference. Because of the light weight, Honda's CBR 900RR was one of the fastest and most agile bikes that you could buy at that time. Well, Honda didn't stop there. In 1996, Honda upped the capacity of their beloved CBR 900RR to a 918cc engine, along with a major overhaul of bodywork with a stronger rigid frame. They continued the updated Fireblade for an additional 4 years. Once the new millennium rolled over, Honda decided to release a completely new CBR 929RR, which featured a 929cc engine. This wasn't just a bored-out version of the 1992 engine, but an all-new engine which featured fuel injection, larger valves, lighter internals, and an all-titanium exhaust system, along with many other improvements. The 929 is when Honda really started to change the game with the superbike class. And the 929 is still a relevant bike even to today's standards. And just when it started to look like things couldn't be any better for the Fireblade, Honda dropped a huge bombshell when they announced the reveal of the CBR 954. Which, as you probably would have guessed, featured a 954cc engine, which was essentially just the 92 engine bored out, but they also added new larger fuel injectors, a remapped fuel injection along with a brand new ECU. The bike was refreshed with brand new bodywork that gave the entire bike a much nicer appearance, and the frame was also strengthened and a more rigid swing arm was added. Not only was Honda able to make the bike faster and better looking, but they also were able to reduce the weight down to just 430 pounds wet. That is lighter than most of the modern day leader bikes. Once more, Honda updated their Fireblade just 2 years later with the all-new 2004 CBR 1000RR. This involved a completely redesigned motorcycle from the ground up. The engine was all new with a 998cc capacity. It featured so many new updates and changes that it would require a whole video just on its own. Just know that the new engine produced a massive increase of horsepower, 20 to be exact, which gave this beast 172 brake horsepower, along with roughly 85 foot-pound of torque. This newfound power did come with a price though, as the new Fireblade did weigh nearly 450 pounds. Honda continued to update the Fireblade again 2 years later with the same engine but a higher compression ratio, revised cam timing, new intake and exhaust ports, more intake valve lift, a higher red line from 11,650 to 12,200, along with brand new fairings that make the bike look absolutely stunning. In my opinion, this 2006 CBR 1000RR is still Honda's best looking Fireblade. In 2008, Honda released an all-new Fireblade once more. Honda released it with a brand new 999cc inline-4 engine with a redline of 13,000 RPMs. It had titanium valves and in a large bore. Honda boasted about the completely new block head configuration and crankcase with lighter pistons. Although this updated model only made about 3 to 5 more horsepower than the previous generation and roughly the same amount of torque, they were able to greatly improve the agility of this bike in the corners, and it featured an all-new slipper clutch. Now, over the years, Honda has done some minor updates to the Fireblade, but it's still pretty much the same bike, and it features the exact same engine and bodywork over the last 8 years, with the exception of some minor tweaks. So why do I mention the history of the Honda Fireblade? Well, if you look back, you will notice that every 2 years, Honda does a refresh of their bike, and every 4 years it releases a completely new engine and bodywork. However, for the last 8 years, we've essentially had the exact same bike. That is why now, in 2017, we are seeing history being made, because now Honda has just revealed their all-new 2017 Honda Fireblade. I want to start this off by saying that most of the information I'm getting on this new 2017 CBR 1000RR is all located on the Honda Powersports website. If you are interested in checking it out for yourself, there will be a link in the description. First off, there is not just one new bike but two, the SP Edition and the SP2. We'll talk about the SP2 at the end, and for now let's just focus on the SP Edition. The Fireblade is lighter, more aerodynamic, and more powerful than ever before. Before we discuss specs, let's look at the aesthetics of this bike. I'm going to say that Honda absolutely slammed this one out of the park. This bike is absolutely beautiful. It kind of resembles the CBR 600RR, but looks even better in my opinion. Honda really stepped their game up in terms of aesthetics, and I must say that my opinion of this bike looks so much better than the previous generation. I like the headlights a lot more, the mirrors are much sleeker looking, the wheels are lighter and more modern, the whole bike is so much thinner than the previous model as well. I'm going to be honest here guys, I wasn't expecting the Fireblade to look this good. Thank you Honda for making such an awesome looking bike. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty specifications. The engine is completely new from the ground up and gets a 13:1 compression ratio, new pistons, new cams, a titanium cam cover, ignition cover, and sump. The changes do not stop there either. They also added a titanium muffler, lighter frame and seat subframe, and a thin-walled titanium fuel tank. This will all help contribute to a major weight loss. The suspension is an electric track-ready Öhlins system for the front and rear and is completely adjustable from the dash. Honda has also announced that they will be adding electronics. Finally, Honda is stepping up into the modern era. They will feature brand new electronics including torque control, which is basically traction control, and it also has 10 levels of adjustment, engine braking control, and wheelie control. The bike will also include throttle-by-wire, which allows you to change the power to a track mode, street mode, or rain mode, which will make it lighter and stronger and give the bike better handling characteristics. Also, they will be including an all-new slipper grip clutch. The new Honda Fireblade is going to be supposedly 32 pounds lighter than the previous European ABS model. That number is absolutely insane and will make this bike actually land into the 600cc territory in terms of weight. That is incredible. We are expecting to see a 430 wet weight from a leader bike. To put this into perspective, the Kawasaki Ninja 636 has a wet weight of 423 pounds. The motor will make out roughly 10 more horsepower, which will give this bike nearly 185 to 190 brake horsepower. That almost puts it into S1000RR territory. Also, the red line has been increased to 14,000 RPM, which is about 1,000 higher than last year's model. All the switches besides the kill switch are now located on the left handlebar, which will also feature a lap timer switch as well. Here's a pic of the dash, and as you can see there is a gear indicator, side stand light, mode indicator, digital speedometer with a wraparound tachometer. The instrument cluster is now a lighter full-cover TRT liquid crystal display and is identical to the RC213 VS. Apparently there are 3 selectable displays including Street, Circuit, and Mechanic. Street mode will display riding modes, power settings, HSTC, selectable engine braking, and suspension, average fuel economy and instant fuel economy, trip fuel consumption, average speed and time after last ignition, and remaining fuel and res light, and more. Circuit mode will add a lap timer, number of laps, and a difference from the best lap. Mechanic mode displays the digital tachometer, gear indicator, grip angle, coolant temperature, and a battery voltmeter. The new Fireblade is also coming out with a quick shifter that includes a blip downshifter as well, and has levels of adjustment so you can fine tune it to the way you want. Of course, ABS will still be on this bike, and it will include a rear lift control which will reduce braking force as the rear wheel lift is detected. Along with this, the ABS is functional for even when cornering and will help control the braking force according to the lean angle, and you will have much more confidence braking on corner entry and trail braking. The all-new Honda Fireblade is really new, with Honda using nearly 68% brand new parts. The bike will be offered with the 25th anniversary edition graphics. Although no price tag has been confirmed yet, Honda did state that the SP version will be under $20,000 US and the SP2 version will be under $25,000 US. The release date for this bike will be in March or April of 2017. The SP2 version will be much more track focused and for racers, although it's still completely street legal. It will feature a different engine internals which will make more power, and it will only be available in very limited quantities. Well, that's all the news I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please remember to leave a like button for more videos similar to this one, and if you haven't already, then please subscribe. Thank you all and have a great day.
Fantasies and we looked at them 11 ways. You said, look at me.